Hey, what's going on, everyone? Axel here, back for another part in my tier list video series. This one is going to be going over the second half of the mid tier, the lower mid tiers. Which, well, before I get started, let me say my normal disclaimer. This is not meant to be 100% accurate, anything like that. I'm not claiming what I'm saying and putting on this tier list is 100% accurate. This is merely something I'm doing for fun. It's not meant to be perfect, and it's just my opinion as a mid-level player. I'm not a top-level player, so take it as you will. Okay, so with that said, this next part is the lower mid tiers, which, to be honest, are not too different from the top mid tiers. And I honestly could have just put all of this in one tier, to be honest, because the mid tiers are really similar in terms of viability. There's not a whole lot of difference, but I think the flaws or the tools of this next half of the character list is a little bit lower, or not quite as good as the upper mid tier. I just don't think they have quite as much potential, either because they just don't have the tools, or maybe they have really, really bad flaws and nothing amazing. So, or maybe they're just untapped, which that is definitely the case for a lot of the characters. So, first character is Ike, and Ike, honestly, after thinking about it, after recording the video yesterday for the high mid tiers, I thought maybe I should have just included him with the high mid tiers. Like, he's really close. I think he's just smack in the middle of the cast at the moment. Ike has really good range and power, and that's what makes him pretty good. Is he has a mix of a pretty big disjoint along with attacks that hit like a truck. However, Ike is a character I think is overshadowed a lot by Cloud, because he's a fundamental based character, and he's not as good as Cloud. Like, there's really no reason, unfortunately, to play Ike over Cloud. If you want like an easy to play fundamental based sword character, just go for Cloud. Ike has some pretty good tools. He's got pretty good combos out of grab. He's got his neutral B, which is actually really scary for edge guarding. I know that's the best. It's really not useful on stage, but off stage, if he gets you off stage, and he can charge that, and he can time the 2-frame right on most recoveries, or hit recoveries without a hitbox, something like that, or maybe ones that don't ledge snap, he can kill you really early. Other than that, though, he doesn't have a whole lot, which is part of the reason why he's where he's at. And he also has some big flaws. His biggest flaws are his mobility. He has mobility issues. He has issues approaching. He's pretty slow. He's sort of like Sword Ganondorf. That's what I've heard a lot of people call him. I don't think he's a lot better than Ganondorf, but it's kind of the same concept, right? He has mobility issues. He has approaching issues. He has a really bad recovery. His up B is pretty darn exploitable, and that's one thing I don't see enough players doing on against Ike. Like, there's plenty of time on his recovery. It's so predictable. You can jump over the sword and hit his hurt box as he up Bs. And I actually did that last tournament with Wario, when I was playing Wario, and it was in a tournament this past weekend. I was playing an Ike player, and I jumped over his up B and wafted on him while he was doing his up B. Of course, most characters don't have a tool like Waft, but you can go out there, you can spike him, you can do a lot to mess with his recovery, and there's certain characters like Pikachu that can really mess with his recovery. They can just like spam projectiles, and I think Sheik can do the same thing with needles. If you have a good projectile, you can just spam it as he's trying to up B. So the main thing you want to do against Ike is edge guard him, and he's really prone to bait and punish because of his mobility issues. He's a good solid character, but I think because he's pretty fundamental based, and Zero was actually talking about this in his tier list video, there's not really a lot. I don't think there's many places for him to go. Like, I don't see a lot of tech that Ike players could come up with. He's a fundamental based character, so good character, but I don't think he has a ton of potential. He could maybe go up a little bit with more representation, but we'll see. Next, I put my main, which may not be my main for much longer, because I'm getting a little frustrated with him personally. Wario. Wario is a character which I sadly think is dropping a lot on tier lists, and in my personal tier list, he's dropped a lot. I used to think Wario had a lot of hidden potential, and I picked him up about the time when Abadongo was doing crazy stuff with him in Evo, the first Smash 4 Evo. But I've kind of found out over my, now it's been over 1 year of me maining Wario, that he doesn't really have a lot of potential. Wario's big problem is he relies on waft. His neutral is not very good, and he doesn't have a whole lot outside of waft. He has bite, which is actually super underrated. I think it's definitely the best command grab in the game. Yoshi's is really good too, but it's so good, and it's not really that punishable. But Wario has issues approaching, he has range issues, and he has issues killing outside of waft. If he doesn't land his waft, he really doesn't have much else in terms of killing. Like, his smashes are terrible. He has a really bad set of smashes. His F smash is really strong, but it's really laggy, so it's not really usable except for hard punishes, hard reads. His down smash is one of the worst down smashes in the game. It's weak and laggy. His up smash is kind of okay, but it's like a worse version of the Mario Brothers up smashes. Like, it's really, really punishable, and it doesn't come out all that fast. So since the smashes really aren't that usable, all he can really do to kill is back air, which doesn't even kill that early. It kills at like maybe 130, and you often have to stale it. Yeah, so other than that, F tilt is also a decent kill move, but it comes out kind of slow and it's punishable. He also has a kill throw. His forward throw does kill, but it's not that good of a kill throw. It'll kill at the ledge at like 130, but not much better than that. So but the main issue with Wario is he relies on waft way too much. Often with Wario, you have to hit your waft to win, and if you don't hit your waft, you lose. And opponents can really take advantage of this by just playing really campy and really safe. And that's Wario's issue. He doesn't have enough tools outside of waft, and I really hope he gets some buffs down the line, like something to help his range, something to help his kill options outside of waft. But as is, waft is so good that he has to be a mid tier. But if you miss waft, you're basically playing a low tier. But if you hit waft, you're basically playing a high tier or a top tiers. And well, let's be honest, you're playing a top tier if you hit a waft. So that's the problem with Wario. He's very inconsistent. Relies on waft, doesn't have really good kill options outside of that, but waft is good enough to where he's definitely a mid tier, but I think he doesn't have a whole lot of potential. Sadly, I have to be honest. He needs some help through buffs if he wants to ever be a high tier or a top tier. Next, I put Bowser, and Bowser is a character that's doing a lot recently. This past weekend, a Bowser main by the name of Lord Mix did some serious work at a big tournament. He beat Void Sheik. Void is one of the best Sheik players in the world, probably a top 3 Sheik. And he beat Vinny Sheik, which Vinny, again, is considered probably a top 5 Sheik in the world. And he didn't just beat Vinny Sheik. After he took sets off of Vinny Sheik and Void Sheik, he played Vinny again in losers. And in losers, Vinny went Rosalina, which is a terrible matchup for Bowser, and he still, Lord Mix, won that best of 5 set, which was really impressive. And then later on, he played Ally's Mario, and he almost took the set off Ally. It was a best of 5, and it went to game 5, like last hit. So Bowser is really, like, if Lord Mix and maybe a few other Bowser mains keep coming with some results, we're going to seriously have to consider Bowser a high mid-tier character. Like, he's really, really doing well with Lord Mix. Like, he has a lot more potential than you might think. His moves hit like a truck. His tilts are pretty good in neutral. He has his Koopa, which is his version of the up throw up air, which can kill you at like, sort of like Donkey Kong's Ding Dong. It can kill you at like 80% if you get grabbed. He also has better landing options than you think. He does struggle to land as a character, but he can do some good landing mix-ups with his side B. He also got some key buffs. I know his up B was buffed several patches ago, so his recovery is not as terrible as it used to be. He also has gotten some huge weight buffs. This character now has a weight value of 130, which is 8 units higher than Donkey Kong, who's the second highest weighted character in the game. So Bowser's weight's 130, Donkey Kong's is 122. Bowser is so heavy. He weighs almost twice as much as Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff's weight value, I believe, is 68, and Bowser's is 130. So it's pretty nuts how heavy he is. He's going to live to huge rage percents very often. And because his up B was buffed, you can't gimp him near as well. So he's a character that's going to win a lot through rage. And he's just a really scary character. Like Rage Bowser, I know in the Vinny Lord Mix set, I think Bowser was at 125, 130 in one set. He back aired Vinny's Rosalina and killed her at 58%, and it wasn't even right on the edge. It was like just off the side of the stage. So he's one of those characters that, yeah, he doesn't have the best neutral or the best recovery, but because he's so powerful and so heavy, he's going to win matchups. He's going to win sets just because like characters like Sheik can't kill him, or other characters get him to high rage percents and can't kill him, and then he gets a kill at like rage kill, and kills their opponent at like 70% or something. So character I think has a lot of potential. I still don't think he's as good as Donkey Kong, but he's definitely a character on the rise, and we'll see what other Lord Mix and some other Bowser mains can do with him. And he's definitely getting the results. He deserves to be at least this high, if not higher. Okay, next I put Lucina. Lucina, I can't put her much lower than this. I mean, she's not too much worse. She's Marth, but worse. But she's not too much worse, and she's gotten some key buffs. Like, they buffed the damage on her fair a lot a couple patches ago. So she's one good thing she has over Marth is she's more consistent. But she, of course, doesn't have the tipper. And I think if you play Marth or Lucina, you're going to have to be able to have good spacing and get those tippers in to really beat these top tier characters and these really high skilled characters. And since she doesn't have that, I think she has a limit on her skill cap that fortunately you just can't do anything about if you don't play Marth. So I do think Marth is better. And I know other top players like Zero put them kind of in the same place, but I just don't see it. I think you got to have that tipper, and you got to get those tippers in and be able to hit them somewhat regularly to win these big sets and take games. And I don't think Lucina can do that. Let's go with the next character is Wii Fit Trainer. Wii Fit Trainer gets some good results from players like John Numbers. Rin is a good Wii Fit Trainer from Japan. Wii Fit Trainer has her niche. She's the ledge hogging character, ledge camping character in this game. Like, she thrives off stage. She has different ways to spike you. She has her Sun Salutation, which means you have to approach her, because if you don't approach her, she's just going to spam it and heal herself. Every Sun Salutation heals, I believe, 2%. She's a character that if you can't edge guard well, like, you're going to really struggle, because she can camp really well. However, if she can't play her ledge hogging, ledge camping game, and you play a character that forces her to approach, she can struggle. Or if you play a character like I mentioned before that has really good edge guarding, can actually play with her off stage, I think she struggles. Because her neutral isn't really that good. Her hitboxes aren't the best, even though they've improved on that. It used to be that short characters couldn't get hit by stuff like, I believe, her F Smash. But she's still a pretty good character, gets pretty good results from some of the players I mentioned, and definitely has her camping niche and has a very good camping game. And you can't, even though she doesn't have like a lot other than that, you can't overlook that. If you're forced to approach Wii Fit Trainer and you're playing a campy Wii Fit Trainer, it's going to be a tough battle. Okay, next I put Lucas. Lucas is a character I think is a bit underrated. I've seen people put him like way low, like mid tier, like low tier. I mean, and I think he is a solid mid tier. Like, he's not as good as Ness, but he's not that much worse than Ness. And I honestly, could have put him higher than this, and I think he is on the rise. He's got some good players that play him, like Pink Fresh. There seems to be a pretty dedicated community of Lucas mains. He's got several kill throws, which is scary. He's got a good kind of zoning game, but the problem with Lucas is his grab, even though it's been buffed, is not the best. It's a tether grab, so he kind of loses his shield. He does not have that amazing back throw that Ness has, even though he has multiple kill throws. He's also pretty laggy. Like, his kill options, like his smashes, are like really laggy, and you really shouldn't get hit by them. But overall, a good character. Definitely a slightly worse version of Ness. But if you like if you have more of a zony playstyle, you might thrive more with Lucas over Ness. A character I think is probably going to be on the rise. Just needs a little more representation. I don't know if he has the tools to get out of mid tier, but who knows? We need to see more from him. Okay, next I put Peach, and this is probably the hardest character in the entire tier list to place because Peach is a character that always gets talked up like, oh, she's so good, she has like top tier potential, blah 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 blah. She's all this cool tech, but no one ever really does anything with her. Like there's Slayers, but like that's about it. You don't see Peach in tournament hardly ever, so you really can't justify putting her any higher than mid tier. She tends to get walled out. She has like her floatiness is decent. She's pretty scary at the ledge. But yeah, just a character that's largely untapped, and it's really hard to place her because we really don't know how good she is. Because other than Slayers, kind of, I don't think we've seen like a top tier talent player pick her up and really dedicate themselves to her. So I hope that happens. It'll be interesting. I would like to see more Peach in tournament. Next, I put Dr. Mario. And Dr. Mario is like, you can't consider. Like, I see a lot of people put Dr. Mario as like a low tier, and you can't do that. He's definitely a mid tier because he's a worse version of Mario, but he's still like really good. He still has like good frame data, still has a pretty good combo game. He's powerful. He's hard to mess with up close. He has a usable projectile. Yeah, he's not quite as good as Mario. He's basically, if you don't know the difference, he's slower, but he's more powerful. That's the basic difference. And his recovery is the main thing that kind of makes him a lot, it's pretty significantly worse than Mario, is his recovery, which is a lot worse than Mario's. If he had a better recovery, he would be a lot higher, but his recovery does hold him back quite a bit. So even though I think his power kind of makes up for him not having as good of a down throw combo game as regular Mario, he's still basically just like a lot like Mario. He has a lot in common with Mario, so you can't, and Mario is such a good character, you really can't put Dr. Mario like low tier just because he has a worse recovery. Okay, next I put Bowser Jr. Let's see if I can find him. There he is. Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. is a character that is falling off a lot because Tweak, one of the most talented players in the world, used to mate him, but has recently switched to Cloud. And Bowser Jr., I think while Tweak was mating him, you could have considered him like a high mid-tier character just based on Tweak's results. But it kind of is, I think we're seeing now that looking at how good Tweak is doing with Cloud, that he was winning a lot with Bowser Jr. mainly because of his skill, not particularly the character choice. Bowser Jr. he has some big flaws, like he loses the shield, he has some moves like Cannonball that are useless, and his biggest flaw is his recovery, which is really, really bad. Really, really bad. Like it has no hitbox on it, and if it gets hit with a soft spot of a move. Now, I was talking to a Bowser Jr. main in the last tournament, so please correct me if I'm wrong, and this is what he told me, that the recovery, he doesn't get his up B back if a soft spot of a move hits him, but if a hard spot, like a strong spot of a move hits him, he does get it back. So, but his recovery is like really bad, so he can if you just go out and touch him while he's up being, he dies. And other than that, he doesn't have that good of approach. He has some bad matchups like Rosalina. He does have the Mecha Koopa, though, which is super good and annoying. But if you kind of learn the matchup, you should be able to get around it. So I hope they give Bowser Jr. some buffs. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he has tons of potential because we saw what Tweak did. Tweak dedicated himself to this character for like how long? Like a year or more? And Tweak is like probably like a top 10 player in terms of talent, and he couldn't even I don't even know if he placed top 32 in a national as a Bowser Jr. main, so it kind of shows you that the character just needs some help. Okay, next is, where is he at? Little Mac, the character, you got to put it mid-tier because he has some ridiculous traits like his smashes, which have super armor, his ground speed is insane, he's got a lot of really good stuff he can do with perfect pivots and like extended dash dancing, but of course you can't put Little Mac any higher than this because his recovery is the worst in the game, and it's too bad. I don't think he deserves to have a recovery that bad. Like, why? If Cloud can have such an insane neutral and have a better has a better recovery than Little Mac, like why can't Little Mac's recovery be a little better? It kind of fit. I see why they do it though. It kind of fits his boxer his persona as a boxer. He's supposed to be like bad in the air, but I think they just they're a little too harsh on him with his recovery. So yeah, insane on the ground, but way too exploitable to be higher than this. He has KO Punch, which is really stupid, which is like a Wario Waft. Actually, it's more powerful than Wario Waft because it kills you pretty much at like down tilt. To KO Punch will just kill you at like 30, or actually as early as like 17. If you get the like 15, if you get the down tilt, it'll kill you no matter what. It's like a confirm into it, but it doesn't really matter because you can just, if you're smart about it, you should just camp Little Mac while he has KO Punch and just bait him until you get a safe opening to get rid of it, because he loses KO Punch after he takes a certain amount of damage. And the character's just in the stage list we have in tournaments, he's just way too exploitable. He's amazing on FD, but on platform stages, like, you don't have to approach Little Mac. Like, if you have a lead, you can just platform camp, and then he has to approach you, and he's at a huge disadvantage when he's jumping up in the air on platforms. So yeah, so fortunately, Little Mac, some crazy attributes, but just way too many weaknesses to be higher than he is, and he's not going anywhere on the tier list. I don't care what kind of, even though he has some good representations from like Alphakins and Soul, like, I'm sorry, you just can't do anything about his recovery and how horrible he is in the air and how exploitable he is in design. And he's a character I just want to say that it depends a lot how good, where he is on the tier list. It depends on what stage he's on and who he's fighting. So say he's on Battlefield against Sheik, he's like a low tier character because she can exploit him on that stage really bad, and she has really good tools for gimping. But say he's playing like Diddy Kong on Final Destination, and he's probably like a high tier character because he's on all flat stage, and Diddy Kong doesn't have the best edge guarding. So yep, he's a very inconsistent character and can be, depending on the matchup and the stage, can be in a lot of places on the tier list. But let's move to the next character, Pac-Man. Pac-Man, of course, has dropped like a rock on the tier list ever since Abadango, the great Japanese player, dropped him for Meta Knight, and then when Meta Knight got nerfed, he dropped Meta Knight for Mewtwo. But yeah, Pac-Man does what he does. He's a very tricky character. He's very zony. He's a character that if you don't know the matchup, you're going to get wrecked, because you got to know what all his fruits does, and you got to be good at like picking up the fruits and catching the fruits and using them against them. You got to kind of be aware of what hydrant is and how it can be used. Pac-Man has some good traits. Yeah, zoning, of course, is really good. He's got good recovery with pretty good recovery that has super armor. He's got, so it's actually kind of hard to mess with. He's hard to juggle because if you try to juggle him in the air, he can just drop a hydrant on you. But yeah, Pac-Man's main problem is he can't kill. Like, it's really hard to get kills with him. Like, his smash attacks for some reason seem to have like huge sour spots, and he relies on setups like Paralyzer Bell to like up smash to get a kill. And also his grab is horrendous, so he loses pretty hard to shield. So he's a character that just needs better kill options and needs better options for defeating shield if he ever wants to go higher on this tier list. So hopefully they'll give him a little bit of a buff to help him out. He also needs more representation because other than Abadango, there's not a lot. I mean, there's like Zage and there's a few other dedicated Pac-Man mains, but it seems like the Pac-Man phase was kind of one of the early points of Smash 4's development of the metagame, and it's kind of come and went. Like, players kind of got really serious about Meta Knight, especially, or not Meta Knight, about Pac-Man when Abadango was maining him, and he really encouraged a lot of players to go deep into Pac-Man. I think what we found out after a lot of development in Pac-Man is that, yeah, he's okay, but he's just not like that good. Okay, next is, I put Charizard, which is kind of a flyer because Charizard doesn't really have any results. Like, there's a couple good players that play him on the side, like Anti, but it doesn't. There's no like dedicated Charizard mains doing a lot. But I mainly put him here because I think he has to be in mid tier after his buffs. Like, some of his buffs are pretty nuts. He's so powerful and he's heavy. He's gonna live to high rage percents. Like, I know side B, if he gets a read, it can kill you really stupid early. And his back air is now insane, and he's gotten a lot of frame data. A lot of frame data buffs in recent patches. His like back air is so freaking good. So he's got a lot. He's got tools. Like he's not as good as the other heavyweights like Bowser or Donkey Kong, because it doesn't have that. I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe he has a true kill confirm out of grab. But still a really powerful, scary character, and I think we can definitely see him moving up if someone actually freaking mains this character. No one plays this character. He needs a little representation. Okay, next I put, where's he at? Olimar. Okay, Olimar is a character, again, that doesn't get a lot of representation. We used to see Dabuz play him, but Dabuz kind of has kind of, for whatever reason, stuck to Rosalina, even through her horrible matchups like Meta Knight. He still sticks with Rosalina. Other than that, we don't see a whole lot. I think Rich Brown plays this character, if I'm remembering correct. I think he's the best, might be one of the best Olimars right now. Olimar does what he does. He's like Pac-Man in that he's a zony type character, and he doesn't have a whole lot else. He's got some good combos at a grab. He kills, decently well. Not really that good, but okay. But his main problem, the reason he's this low, is because his recovery is so bad. Like his disadvantaged state is so bad. Like I don't know why they gave this character such a terrible recovery, but it's awful. It's like even worse it's like a worse version of Rob's recovery, and Rob's recovery isn't even that good. This character, like his up B is so slow. If you get him off stage, like he should not be coming back. He really shouldn't be. It's so slow. It's so predictable. Just go off stage and hit him, spike him, whatever. He should not get back if he's forced to use his up B. So yeah, because even though he has really good zoning, even though because his disadvantaged state off stage is so terrible, he has to be this low. Okay, next I put Robin. Robin is really not all that good. I wish Robin was better. But Robin's problem is she's just she, whatever one you want to play. I tend to, if I ever play Robin, which I don't that much, I tend to use the female Robin. But anyways, Robin's problem is she's just too slow, like one of the worst run speeds in the game, and her zoning is okay, but it's just too slow. Like these fast characters can just get around it, hop over it, and punish her. Like Arcfire is so laggy. It's like even though Robin's powerful, like her sword, Levik's sword is really powerful. Just Robin just doesn't have the speed to compete with the higher tier characters, unfortunately. And if she's rushed down, if you get in her face, she can't really do much. Like Robin needs that space to be effective. And if you just get in her face, or you just jump over her projectiles because how laggy they are, you shouldn't have too much trouble with Robin. Also, Robin has a bad recovery that's really exploitable. Has I don't believe it has any hitbox, although it does have the beams she shoots downward can spike you, I believe. So I don't know if they have a true spike, but I know they can certainly gimp you. So watch out for that if you try to gimp her. But yeah, otherwise her recovery is just not very good, and so being slow, her zoning is too slow, and her recovery is not that good, which is why she's this low. And also having just bad mobility in general. She can compete, like all these mid tiers, as I said before, like they're all pretty close in viability, but it's just harder for her. All right, let's move on to the next character where I put Shulk. Okay, Shulk is a character I think is overrated by a lot of people. I know Zero actually put him at like high mid tier, I believe, in his tier list. Shulk is just basically a worse version of Cloud, unfortunately. Shulk has comparable range to Cloud, but is strictly worse in terms of frame data, and Monado Arts is just not as good as Limit. So Shulk basically is a worse version of Cloud. What really holds him back is the frame data. He has gotten some frame data buffs in some recent patches, but it's still not good. Like he still can't do a lot in neutral that's safe. Monado Arts are, in theory, you should be able to use them to adapt to your current situation. And I know a lot of people are using stuff like Monado Art canceling to really manipulate Shulk's frame data. But I think in the end, we haven't seen anyone really do anything with Shulk. So in the end, I think his Monado arts are more of a gimmick than they are as like a seriously really good tool. And in theory, if you can use the right art at the right time, you should be able to adapt the character to any situation. But I don't know, guys, no one's done anything with him yet, and until that happens, I just am gonna doubt Shulk. Unfortunately, I just don't think he's all that good. Okay, the last character I put in mid tier is Roy. Roy's not all that good. It just, he's his neutral's not very good. His recovery's bad. He doesn't really have a whole lot other than like his F smash is like really really powerful. But other than that, yeah, Roy just doesn't have anything. He just doesn't have anything. I don't know what else to say about Roy. He just doesn't have anything. His neutral's not that good. His recovery's exploitable. His frame data is not anything special. It's not that good. So yeah, just no real upsides with Roy. Just there's so many better sword characters. Play Corrin, play Ike, definitely play Cloud. Play Marth. He's just overshadowed by all these other Fire Emblem characters and swordsmen, unfortunately. So guys, that's gonna do it for my low mid tier videos. Next time I will go into the low tiers and finally finish out my tier list video. So hope you all enjoyed. Please give me your comments below, like, subscribe, all that stuff if you did enjoy. I will see you next time. Have a good one.